And moving on to a team which slightly more relevant than the Pacers, it's the Pistons. And, well, you've got a dying horse in Blake Griffin just sat at the top of your team. He is hardly a basketball player anymore. You won't catch him jumping over cars anymore. I'll tell you that for certain. And you've got Chris Wood, doesn't want to be there. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, I think they've already committed to the rebuild, as they should have. Trading Drummond was, a big sign that they're ready to blow her up in a way. I mean, look at what they got back for Drummond: Brandon Knight, John Henson, and a future second-round pick. That's bad. And then, as soon as he goes, Christian Woods comes in, steps up, and becomes almost a star-level player. He was performing like an all-star. Then he went on Instagram Live and told all of his followers, put some suggestions in the comments of what team I should go to.
Yeah,
So that's not what you want to hear as a Piston fan. Your best player, who's only had a half a good season, he wants out already, which is a bit concerning. But yeah, they stuck with Blake Griffin's contract, like disgusting contract. But like we said in the last episode with New York, they need to build the foundations of a winning franchise. Going back 15 years when they won the championship, they were built on hard work, defense, and that gritty behavior. They need to go back to that. Blake Griffin doesn't have that sort of mentality. The whole team doesn't have it. But their coach, Dwayne Casey, is a good enough coach to play that style of basketball. So yeah, it's just about getting the right players in places.
You're saying bring back the bad boy Pistons?
Maybe not like physically assaulting other players.
I don't think you're allowed to do that these days.
I don't think so. But just be like a tough team to play against. Like going into Detroit should never be like an easy game for teams. Like Detroit is such a murky city, or state. Like it's just a grim. Like no one likes Detroit. So like they should have that sort of aura in the players. Teams should look at Detroit saying, "Oh, I don't want to go and play there." But teams love playing against Detroit. Like Embiid drops 40 points every time he plays against them. It's an easy game. They just don't really have much talent on the team. Canada, I think, is a player who could blossom into a 20-point per game scorer. But apart from that, it's kind of disgusting, the rest of the team.
What are the options then? Because, is it even possible to find a trade for Blake Griffin?
Maybe. Again, going back to Philly, I'm sure a Blake Griffin for Horford swap would be on the table. I wouldn't do it personally, but
do you want to be stuck with Blake Griffin?
Or God no. But if you look at the Knicks, they got a new regime there now. But if you went off their old GM, I'm sure he would be willing to trade Julius Randle for Blake Griffin because of the star power. But there's not many options. There's not many options for Blake Griffin, so you might just have to stick with him. And just, do you really want to play him though? Because he's taking minutes away from your young players. So it's such a tricky situation,
It's a mess. You could stick with him, try and play him, and then that's minutes. If he plays power forward, that's minutes taken away from Christian Wood, and minutes taken away from Sekou Doumbouya. Is what do you do?
But 2 years ago, Blake was averaging something silly like 26 points per game.
Yeah.
4 or 5 assists. He was incredible. It was his best season. Then last year, he played through injuries, and you could tell because he was awful. So, and he's always suffered with injuries. But if he can stay healthy, that's a good player to have to, help coach your young players. But how confident are you in Blake getting back to that form? I don't think he can. I think he's past it.
How old's Blake Griffin now?
29, 30.
Yeah, I think it's done. His time in the NBA is over. I think for the best of the team, retire and let them claim the injury thing with the contract.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers are trying to do with is it the Lakers trying to do with Deng or somebody who's
But yeah, I
retired now?
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do? What pick do they have?
The 7th pick.
Again, okay, it could be positive that you could get somebody to partner with Luke Kennard, Christian Wood if he stays. Give Dumboya some minutes. D Rose is still there for now.
It's a weird team though, because you haven't got any like future at point guard. You've got an agent D Rose, Kennard at shooting guard. That's a good player. Can't defend, but he's a good scorer. Small forward, you don't really have anyone. Power forward, you've got Blake Griffin, Christian Wood, and then Sekou Doumbouya. Is it way too stacked there? And then centers, you've got Thon Maker. It's such a weirdly constructed roster. It's like coming to the draft. Obviously, the Pistons have no real talent. They have no franchise player. So I think they're in a situation where they should just pick the best player available. They shouldn't have any preference on position or fit. Just choose the best player. They need to find their franchise player. And as Daryl Morey said a few years back, when you're a rebuilding team, you should just take anyone on your team. Pick anyone up. Always pick the best player, because you never know who could blossom into that star. And for the Rockets, they did that. They used that strategy for years, and they got on James Harden, one of the best scorers in NBA history. So I think the Pistons should, pick the best player, because you never know what they could blossom into.
Is it worth them trying to make a deal with the Timberwolves to get the first pick?
Nah, because I don't think the value that you'd have to give up is worth moving from 7 to 1. The gap in players isn't like that much. If it was like a clear number one player like last year with Zion and Ja Morant, then yeah, definitely do that. But this year, it's not worth it. But maybe they think Dwayne Wade could be Dwayne Wade. They think Anthony Edwards could become a Dwayne Wade type player.
Yeah.
So that's his ceiling. He could be Dwayne Wade. But on the other hand, he could be Dion Waiters. But that's his range for him. Like, he's not a safe player at all. Like, there's such a wide range for Anthony Edwards. But maybe Pistons, maybe they can talk themselves into him. Yeah, it wouldn't be a very safe move. But then again, when you're a bad team, what's the point of making a safe move?
Yeah.
I mean, you may as well swing for the fences.
Yeah, like I can't wait to make my mock draft. I think I love drafts, and this is such an interesting one. By the fact there's no standout player. Obviously, LaMelo Ball is the most marketable player, but ability wise, it's just up in the air. And look at the last 10 drafts. It's not the number one, the number 1 to 3. They're not the stars in the NBA now. You'll pick a guy at 12, and it turns into Klay Thompson.
Well, pick 13 is always known for being
13. That was it, not 12.
Yeah, you got Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, Devin Booker, Kobe. Always, there's always a shooting guard as well. Always a score first shooting guard. But always pick 13. Always ends up becoming a star. But yeah, like you said, the person who always gets picked in the top 3 rarely becomes the best player. I think the 2013 draft is a great example and a great comparison for this draft, where Anthony Bennett was the number 1 pick, Oladipo was number 2, and Oladipo was number 3. But then if you look later in the draft, you got Giannis at 15, you got Rudy Gobert at 27, I think. So two of the best players, one of the best players in the league. Rudy Gobert is a good player, but I think this draft is going to be the same. You're going to be looking back in a couple of years from now thinking, God, how did this player go 21, or how did this player go 30th,
Yeah, so I think Pistons, pick-wise, are in a good spot. They've got a good chance of getting a good player for years to come. But will it be the right pick for the Pistons? That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Good luck to them. I can't wait for the draft. Very exciting. Very, very exciting.
It's time for you to learn everything about all the prospects.
It's time for me to learn. I know a good amount about the players projected for lottery. It's I know most of the names through doing about 5 million 2K saves. So I know everybody's names, just knowing what their real life potential is rather than their 2K potential.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin will not go second.
No, I hope not. If he does go second, someone's made a big mistake.
Well, if he turns into a Tatum-like player that I had at the Bulls, then
No. Top in, like, he's an Aaron Gordon. Like, he's there.
Tell you what he was
such
for me. Incredible.
He's a Derek Williams, Adrian Payne type bust.
Well, I wish him all the best. I'm a big fan. And that's it for the Pistons, and that's it for the Central Division.